Hey everyone, welcome back to Notes to Self. My name is Melanie.
And I'm Cory.
And we were both born and raised in a local polygamous church here in Utah called the AUB, or the Apostolic United Brethren. I'm going to get that down one day. I was raised with 4 mothers, 34 brothers and sisters.
And my dad had 9 wives and 39 kids up in Pinesdale, Montana, in a United Order up there.
Yeah.
All in one big house we were raised.
Yep. So we are burning the midnight oil, literally. It is midnight, and we are trying to get this filmed before we want to make sure that we have our recap done for you guys while we are out of town. So we are making sure that we get this done, and we do have a lot of pages. So this is going to be, we're going to try to make it a little bit shorter than normal just because it is literally midnight here. And, but we still have a lot to say about this. We watched this episode with my mom, and literally it was a all day process. We processed through a whole lot of trauma and abuse that we all went through. And what was crazy is just watching the abuse on the screen that this man has put these women through. And then we pause, and then it was interesting to see where our conversation spiraled to, and all the different levels of abuse that we've experienced at the hand of this organized religion that we grew up with, and that my mom actually hand chose. And so it's interesting because the trauma that we have all experienced, just listening to my mom's trauma, listening to your trauma, the things that we've all experienced, we literally took about, what would you say, almost 3-4 hours to watch the episode, because we'd pause, go through some, whatever we were watching, and then it would just escalate into a whole different conversation, which was really good in a lot of ways, because I feel like that's how we heal some of our trauma, is by recognizing it and acknowledging it, and then working through it until you heal from it. So there was a lot to talk about today.
And while I feel like when I was younger, while I was in the belief system that we are in, you really don't recognize a lot of the trauma that goes along with it. It isn't until later on, as you start to do healing and you listen to some of the doctrine and the dogmas that they teach, that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't believe that anymore. And there is trauma with it. And still to this day, we'll talk to people within the community still and can see that they're repeating the same traumas too.
Right.
They don't even have a clue that they're not in it. And so it's interesting to see how each one of the women are responding to it. And some of them going, well, we might have been abused or traumatized, and we just didn't realize we were. And
that was one of the things that we kind of watched during this episode. Is I know people get really frustrated because they're like, well, what is it? The women say this, but then on the next hand they say this, and then on the next hand they say this. And a lot of people who have been in such severe levels of trauma for so long, they see all sides of a person. They see the good side. They want to believe the good side. There's Stockholm syndrome, where you fall in love with your abuser type thing. So there is a lot of that happens. And a lot of times it's like 2 things can be true at once. And we forget that, I think, as humans. We forget that I can be angry and still love this person. I can know that I was abused and still have fond memories of this person. I know there was good times, but there was more trauma and bad times than there was good times. And all of that can be true at the same time. And so I think that we as humans watching this from an outside perspective go, he's a piece of garbage. You should hate him all the time. Why are you saying nice things about him now? Why don't you just hate him as bad as we hate him? Why don't you hate Robin as bad as we hate Robin? Why don't you? And again, we don't live these experiences. These women do remember having good times with this man. They do remember having fond memories. So on one hand, it's like, no, we weren't controlled by this man. And then on the other hand, it's like, he doesn't get to control us anymore. I'm not going to be walked on by this man. And both can be true at the same time. And so you can be going through one experience and then genuinely forget the trauma you just experienced with this person last year. You can forget that because you genuinely want to love and be loved. And so I want to give these women as much grace as I can for that reason, because they wanted to be loved by this man. They wanted to love this man. They wanted to love their sister wives. They wanted to be loved by their sister wives. All of that can be true. And when you're going through the healing process, it is so convoluted. It's just like, it feels like sometimes healing just folds on top of each other. Like, wait a second, didn't we already go through that? Didn't we already talk through that? Why am I seeing it now from this other angle? And so I feel like that's where, when we watch people heal out loud and watch them heal televised, there could be a lot of grace given in those situations. So that's kind of how I feel about it. And go ahead.
I just think Sam, from growing up in polygamy, when he was asking you those questions, we felt like we had a choice growing up.
Oh, absolutely.
But did we? So we had the illusion of a choice. And so we felt like we had a choice growing up. But then as we got older and wiser, we're like, wait a minute, we really didn't have a choice. We had a choice between these two things, hell or heaven. And why couldn't I have chosen these other routes? Because that was going to take me to hell. And so So
we had the illusion of
choice.
Again, I think these women have the illusion of they're not being controlled, because they can say their piece, they can say their mind, but the mental gymnastics that you have to do to live this way, is there really coercive control going on? Absolutely there is. And so I just find it interesting that in one breath, they make several comments in this show. We weren't controlled. We could leave whenever we wanted to. Well, could they? Because look how hard it's been for these women to actually genuinely leave and sever and cut off ties. It's not easy. And we're seeing a televised version of something that goes a lot more smoothly than what the actual relationships in polygamy go through. So again, they had the illusion of the fact that they were not controlled by a patriarchy, by this man. And I think that they're starting to see that come true, especially with this joke of an apology tour. It's like, dude, you don't get to do this. You don't get to. And again, when you've never set up boundaries and you've never set up, hey, this is my expectation, when you've never done that and those have never been violated, then you don't know that you don't know. And all of a sudden these women are trying to find their freedom and they are setting up boundaries and they're constantly being violated by this man. And now they're going, well, wait a second, you don't get to do this to me anymore, not realizing that just before they just didn't set up boundaries, so they couldn't be violated. So it was easy for them to say, no, I won't be, I'm not controlled. I don't live in again, the illusion of the one I grew up with, the AUB, is not as bad as these other polygamous groups. We're not as bad as
the best one.
Yeah,
we're the best group.
If we were going to have to be raised in a cult, it might have been the AUB, because that was the best one out of all of them. Not seeing the trueness of the fact that we just didn't know how to set up boundaries, especially as women. We were not taught that boundaries were not okay. Your husband would tell you if you needed a boundary. And if he didn't tell you you needed a boundary, you didn't need one. And so the minute that these women decide that they need boundaries with this man, and he continually violates them over and over and over again, now they're like, well, wait a second, maybe we were a little bit controlled, but I didn't feel like I was. Again, two things can be true at the same time. So I think it's interesting as I'm watching David and Christine, I think that David and Christine have the healthiest perspective on what is happening with Cody and this ridiculous narrative control tour, because I wouldn't say that it's an apology tour. I think they have one of the healthiest perspectives on it. Yeah. He doesn't get to share half the stuff he thinks he gets to share, and he doesn't get to violate boundaries over and over.
Mary also.
Right. Well, yeah. Mary does too. I think Janelle has a long way to come when it comes to this. Again, I think Janelle would fall under the Stockholm Syndrome more than the other women were, because she wants to believe
well, yeah, because she chose to come into the family, is what you're seeing now. She wants to think that her intuition, her God's inspiring her to go into the
Testimony.
family testimony. Her own choice wasn't necessarily a foolish one.
Right.
I mean, they've grown apart, they've done this, but she appreciates what they did go through and the kids that they got out of it.
I was going to say, she's got 6 amazing kids out of the whole situation.
Yeah. And so you don't want to feel like you're foolish. So,
well, and how many people get back and they're getting, farther in their years, and then they have to turn around and go, what was all that for? Why did we do that? Why did we put ourselves through that much misery? And these people are healing out loud in front of national, international television. So that adds a whole other dynamic of healing. So again, we would like to remind people to start your healing work. There's so many levels of healing. We've been doing this pretty consistently for 20. I'm going on 31 years since I went through my very first major crisis and transition of faith. And I still, like today, found layers after layers after layers of healing work to do. So get started on it whenever they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The best time to start your healing work was now. Get going so that when your people deserve to be loved better, you deserve to be loved deeper. And there's so much out there to experience and see, because now that these women are on the other side of it, they're starting to have these experiences that they just didn't know were even available to them. Yeah. So we start out and, again, David's hot on the couch. We explained this kind of in our last episode. When we took ourselves out of watching this from a third party and put ourselves, hey, remember when we went through this personally with my ex-husband? What did it feel like? It felt like a power game. It felt like a power trip. It felt like he still thought he owned me and he was giving me permission. Although he never actually did give me permission, He kept coming back saying, it's okay, I'll take care of you. Whatever children you have with that man, I'll take care of those too, because you still belong to me. You're still my property. I don't think that people realize to the extent of the indoctrination that these men have of just how much these women are property to them. I don't think it can be relayed even verbally it's literally like you're going to sever this man's arm. That's how much these women belong to him. And that is a really hard way to break. That's hard to walk away from. Even if he thinks it and says it, every fiber of his being goes, yeah, that's not true. I do still own her. There's such a deep, deep, deep level of indoctrination there.
I still will have some level of control over her in the afterlife. Whether I'm going to be a noble priesthood holder and let her come back into the family, or I cast her into outer darkness. Right. So he still feels like it is one of those things that you were taught growing up, that the priesthood leaders are either going to be, if a wife leaves or abandons a family, that they are going to have some say in the afterlife of.
Right. And this is why it makes David so hot and makes Christine so hot, is because she is literally feeling that energy coming off of Cody that I own you. I'm going to release you. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and show you this very first clip. There's so much in just the first 5 minutes of this episode. It's crazy. All right, come on. Unmute.
Was present.
No.
All he needed to do is say,
I'm sorry.
I apologize for my actions.
And then let's let it go.
Let it go with that.
He could just say, apologize for my actions, and then leave it there. If Robin was there, I think the whole thing would have been like, okay, maybe we can go ahead and make some things work and things like that. With him not bringing her, I thought it was disrespectful to her for him to say that without her there.
Okay, so there's no trip in the Moab in future.
Oh, God.
No, there's no trip in Moab. He wouldn't go with me.
We're not going to do that.
I think.
And David says it's perfectly clear. No, there's no trip to Moab. He wouldn't go with me anyways.
Yeah.
And
he's above them. Right.
And I agree with David and Christine. I don't think Cody would have talked to them the way he did with Robin sitting there. He would not have, he wouldn't have said some of the things he said. Robin would not have tolerated it. But the fact that Robin wasn't there, Cody just went ahead and the way he said it, if I want to tell Christine I love her, if I want to tell her that I did love her, then I'll do it.
It's not breaking a
It's not-
bro code.
Yeah, exactly.
So from a construction worker,
It's not, and the thing is it doesn't matter if it breaks a bro code. It matters that she told you you don't get to talk to her like that anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't care. So you're going to violate that boundary. And she says, no, I'm in another relationship. I don't care. If you need to heal and you need to do these things, you go do that on your own. I don't need to hear about it, nor do I want to hear about it. Again, what Cody said to Mary was, how I feel about you is none of your business. Cody needs to take his own advice and stop violating these women's boundaries when they tell him, I don't want to hear that. Christine has been perfectly clear. I don't care. I don't want to hear that. David was clear. That's inappropriate. You don't get to talk to my wife like that now. And Cody just goes, I don't care what you guys have to say. I'm going to violate that boundary again. I'm going to violate it again. Why? Because I owned you. But you're lucky that I'm going to go ahead and release you from that.
and he still has his priesthood
Mm-hmm.
that he is still claiming to honor, and so now he's being benevolent
Mm-hmm.
and releasing these women, especially Christine, because the priesthood leadership has not released,
Mm-hmm.
and so he himself is going to come and release her as a noble priesthood holder creature.
Right.
So
And it's like, and again, there's no respect for the fact that she said, you don't get to talk to me like this. And he goes, yeah, I do. And I'll do it whenever I feel like it. I mean, he's so, and again, Robin is exactly the same way. She doesn't care either. So here's another, watch this next clip with Robin in here. Oh, shoot.
She was like, this is my husband. She felt like it was inappropriate. I don't need you to say that you love me in front of my husband.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know where else he would have said it except for trying to be that's why he wanted David there. Like, this is appropriate.
Again, Robin's confused. Well, I don't know where else he was going to say that. Again, he doesn't get to say that to her. That's the problem, is she has set up a boundary. You don't get to talk to me like that. And he goes, yeah, I do. And Robin's like, yeah, he does. And they missed the entire point. They missed the entire point that Christine no longer belongs to him. Not that she did in the first place, but she belonged to him in a marriage. And
in a covenant.
And so Robin's confused. Well, I don't know where else he would have said this to her. He tried to be respectful by having her husband there. You guys are missing the whole point. You don't get to say this to her, period, at all. She doesn't care. She doesn't want to know. And she's made that perfectly clear. And when you're somebody in this type of situation, in these high controlled religions where everything is transactional, everything is I own you, Robin still believes that, or else she would have said something totally different. She would have said, yeah, you're right. Cody probably just could have healed that on his own. He didn't need to really go and say that to Christine. But she doesn't. She sits and defends Cody in it, saying, well, where else would he have said that to her? What else would he have done? He was trying to be respectful. No, he wasn't trying to be respectful. He was trying to make his point get across, regardless of what it did to the other person. He doesn't care what it does to the other person. Go ahead.
Well, Christine does not see him as her priesthood leader anymore.
Exactly.
She's walked away from the covenant, but Robin still and Cody still sees Christine as Cody is the priesthood leader, has dominion over her, and so his job is to release her
Right.
from that. And she's like, well, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
He was being respectful, had her there, but see, he still has to do a job of releasing her
Exactly.
from
And he
his
was
good
doing it as
graces.
respectful, like,
Exactly.
credit. He was doing it respectfully
And it's
in
based
front of
on
her husband. It was really important for
belief
him to
systems.
say, because it was not a truth. And so it was really important for him to say, guess what? Christine doesn't give a shit about Cody's truths anymore. She doesn't. She doesn't care what he thinks is right or wrong. She doesn't care what he thinks is true or not true. She doesn't care. And he doesn't get to go tell her that. If he needs to fix that, he can go talk to Robin about it, because Robin's his wife, not Christine.
She no longer believes in
Mm-hmm.
the doctrine that they still are holding true to, and both of them believe. So,
Right. And Robin and Cody are like dumbfounded that David and Christine would be upset about this. Like and Cody's like, well, I don't know if we can be friends. I'm not saying we shouldn't be friendly, but if he's not going to let me mind game her, these are the girl games. Robin and Cody are so adamantly against girl games because they read nuance so well, but they certainly didn't read this nuance. They certainly didn't read or respect boundaries. It's ridiculous. It's funny because it's not funny. My ex-husband came into our home one time and my dad was sitting on the couch and he watched him walk straight over to our whiskey cabinet and pull out a bottle and pour himself a whiskey without saying a word to anyone. And he just walked right in the house, made himself a whiskey, and oh my gosh, my dad lit up. My dad was, and if you know, my dad is the leader of the AUB. He's now the prophet. And my dad just went off on this man, like, excuse me, this is not your home. You don't get to do this. But yet my dad would do the same thing in someone else's home. If it was one of his ex-wives, he would do the same thing. I have watched him do this in his ex-wives' homes. I have literally sat on the couch, watched my dad walk into an ex-wife's home and make himself right at home. And yet he was so offended when my ex-husband did this to me, but he doesn't see his own actions. And that's what these men, they genuinely don't see their own actions. They don't see, what is wrong with this? Like, you guys need to get together. You guys need to get with the program. So I hope that people can kind of understand a little bit more. I know a lot of people were giving David a lot of grief for the way he acted, but because a lot of people don't understand that level of ownership. And David's like, go F yourself, dude. You don't own this woman. She's no longer, you don't get to tell her what she has to and does not have to listen to.
You never did.
Right.
And it's inappropriate that through your belief systems that you still think that there is some sort of dominion over her.
Right.
So.
Right. All right. And then we go to the apologies. Suki asks Cody something about, what was this high honor? It's such a joke. It's such a high honor. You get to be the first one that I give my apology to. And Suki says, why was Janelle that high honor? And he was like, well, Janelle's the one I felt the safest with. The ego on this man blows my mind. Like, I'm sorry, you think it's an honor to get an apology from you? Okay, I didn't know that you were so grand and so wonderful that anything you had to say was so amazingly that I should be honored. Please, you should be honored that I even bothered to take this meeting with you.
And for the guy and his current wife, Robin, who hate girl games, last season he was saying that Mary was his favorite ex-wife. Now this season he's saying Janelle, as he's throwing her under the bus, is saying, well, Janelle, this was the greatest honor that you got this. This is him playing the games again, because they all got to watch last season as Mary is the favorite ex-wife. Now all of a sudden Janelle gets the greatest honor. He is the biggest girl game player there is on constantly. And so they also argue in here that did I felt like that I had to compete everything? I mean, I didn't feel like I had to compete, but you do compete to be told that you cook well.
Right.
You're the favorite ex-wife. You have these honors. He still is trying to, through whatever level that he considers it praise to these guys, is kind of pitting one against the other. And they're kind of at the point now, we don't want that. We don't want you. We don't want your honor. I don't care if I'm the favorite ex-wife, all those things. So
yeah.
Still
and
playing games.
They're these little taglines that he gives to these women, like, oh yeah, favorite ex-wife. Oh, Janelle's going to be my safe place. Oh, it's
as he throws the next one under the bus.
Exactly. Exactly.
So in one breath, he's playing like he's complimenting Janelle, as the whole season he was throwing her under the bus for the backdoor deal.
A backdoor deal.
Yeah. And now last Mary, but now even with, and I wrote it down here, even with his apology to Janelle, even with his apology to Janelle, it has the undertones of malice against Mary.
Towards Mary. Yeah.
So he says one thing to one wife with this malice towards the other. Then he goes to that next wife and says something to her, trying to build her up as he throws malice on the next wife.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and it's funny because we're watching the wives watch the playbacks, right? And I can't decide if Robin's constipated, if she's upset, if she's looking at Cody like he's a pathetic piece of whatever, or if she's like, dude, or is he going to get how we rehearsed it, right?
yeah, there you go.
Is he going to get, like, we talked about this, Cody, don't mess this up. Like, I know you're going to get in there and you're going to say something we didn't rehearse.
You did.
But if you look at her face, like she genuinely looks constipated or something, like, like she can't quite decide where he's going to go with this.
Well, she rehearses it with him. He stands in front of the camera and says, I can't say anything bad about Jen. Then he sits down at the table and says something about Jen. It's like, and that's what she's like grimacing, like, we rehearsed this so many times.
Man, this guy's an idiot. Is he never going to get this right?
And he goes right into what I told him not to do. So
next time I'm going to make him practice 500. I'm going to make him write on the chalkboard. Right. So then the way he's apologizing to Janelle, just the look on his face, like he's just struggling, like if he's just really putting the emotion into this so that she really believes what he has to say, that he didn't protect their special place, that he, again, with all this malice towards Mary, is like, I didn't protect our special place. And Janelle's like, it's okay. We didn't have a handbook on what there was to do. Yeah, there is. Yeah, we all do like we were taught a whole bunch of things. And yes, so much of it is so messed up. Honestly, you wouldn't believe the emotional, I just want to say the F word here, but the emotional messery that we all get in, that we don't, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a spot and we're like, how the hell did we get here? And how the hell did we get out of this? Because there's so many emotions that are so intense that you never even knew were possible. It's like you never know the emotional possibility of loving another human till you have a child, or you adopt a child, or you love something that you never know that emotion. Well, you don't know the level of rage, jealousy, anger, anything that you're going to have until you're in the middle of a situation. How do you get out of it at that point? And so there is a lot of teachings, the 27 laws of living polygamy. Your dad made all his wives read it when they got married to him.
Well, and part of the handbook is the problem too. Mm-hmm. You don't need to get to know you. If you get a feeling about going into this family, you move quickly through it. Most of these people are going, wait a minute, I should have probably got to know Cody better. I should have got to know these guys better, but they're rushing into these marriages, and then
These eternal forever and ever marriages.
there's no exit plan.
Right.
There's no exit plan. If there's an exit plan, it's because somebody's going to hell, and so
Somebody broke their covenants.
They gave up. They didn't honor their priesthood. They didn't do anything, and then they're recycled. The women are recycled again into the thing and rushed into the next marriage.
Right.
And
I even say that. I swear my ex-husband had to marry me so young, a week into 17, because he knew that if I went much longer, I would get smarter. And I would say, absolutely not. I'm not getting in this marriage. No way. I think that's a lot of this it's fasting, it's praying, it's getting that burning in the bosom, whatever you want to call it. When you don't barely know somebody, you're in the butterfly flittery stage, or you're in the Twitter-pated stage, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And you truly don't know the integrity of this person. You don't know the character of this person. And then you jump head first in and hit rock bottom. What do you do at that point? So another thing that Cody comes off with is that when you bring on a second wife, there feels like a loss of resources. All of a sudden, there's a loss of time. There's a loss of sleeping together. Now you only get your husband every other night. There's a loss of financial resources to some degree. You would think that by adding another wife, that would add more financial resources, especially if you're going to dump both of them in a small little trailer on some land somewhere. But apparently, Cody and his wives did not know how to financially manage themselves. Like, The average person can at least afford an apartment by themselves. Well, maybe not anymore in today's society, but
Yeah.
back then it was like, why were they so financially strapped? They didn't have children. It doesn't make sense to me. Was he just a poor provider?
Well, yeah. And I don't know if they were talking about financial resources. I think
Well, I know he's
he
talking
was
about emotional
about,
resources. I know I just went off on a tangent there about it. But that's what he says. So then my mom, she starts yelling and she's like, the reason why there feels like such a lack is because these men pick one wife over the other. They pick one wife to cater to. She's the louder. She's the squeaky wheel. She's the one that's too hard to get along with. And so again, this is why I think Cody's apologizing, because Janelle was a safe place. He could go and he didn't have to listen to her nitpick him apart. Where when he would go with Mary, he'd have to listen to Mary pick him apart. Mary was frustrated. She wanted to talk about things. I am very similar. I process through my feelings and emotions by talking about them. And sometimes it can come off harshly. I don't intend for it to do. It's just me working through however I'm feeling. And Cody didn't want to always indulge Mary in that. And so he didn't protect Janelle, where Janelle's like, yeah, I don't need to talk through everything. Just come here. Let's just have a relaxing time together. And so that's where the lack of resource comes from, the lack of love. Did he have the ability to love two women at the same time? He thinks he
thinks
did.
he did.
The women say differently. So, and then Janelle starts talking about how she came into the family and the spiritual, the way that you do it. Again, the courtships are extremely short. There's a lot of fasting. There's a lot of prayer. There's a lot of looking for that, some sort of answer, some sort of God telling you, yes, this is where you belong. Again, that is why later on in life, it is so hard for these women to get out of these situations, because you're supposed to have that. And if you don't, shame on you. If you just went into this without knowing that this, I can't tell you how many times my parents have said to me, well, you're the one who said you had a testimony of this and now you want out of it. Too bad. I mean, and again, when I say to my parents, I was a baby, I was a child when I got married. Nope, you're the one who said you had a testimony. You convinced us that you had a testimony that this is how it was supposed to be. Okay, because I was 16. That's what I thought it was supposed to feel like. That's what I thought God sounded like when he was giving me an answer. I was 16.
We were taught would happen.
Exactly.
That's what we were taught should happen. And
Exactly.
so you start to see and feel okay, this is feeling right. There's never anything that's taught saying you should spend some time to get to know the person. You should look for red flags in a relationship. You should, you should make sure you're compatible. That's never taught.
No.
So
compatibility doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Because you endure to the end, just like these women have said in this. So compatibility doesn't really matter. It matters that all that is going to do is add to your suffering, which will bless you in heaven later. So compatibility really is not an issue here. And then she talks about how when they first got married, again, this is something we would talk about in girls' class. In girls' class was a young women's class where you would go to kind of be trained on how to be a sister wife. You'd go every other week, starting at the age of 12 until you got married, which in my case was right after I turned 17. And then they had like a young marrieds class because so many people got married so young. And then you'd go into this young marrieds class where they would teach you a little bit more. And again, it's funny because the dishes was always a subject. Don't worry about the way she folds her towels. Don't worry about the dishes. Don't get hung up on these stupid little things. But when you're in the middle of what feels like a crisis, these things feel ginormous. They feel like they're the most important thing that you have to deal with in your lifetime. Why is this woman not draining these dishes correctly? Why is this woman not folding these laundry towels correctly? What is wrong with her? And again, you're in this massive crisis that feels so overwhelming because you have such a loss of control over what feels like every other aspect of your life. The thing that you can control are the things that you're going to pick apart the most out of the other person. I can control the way the laundry's folded, but I can't if that wench over there doesn't start folding them the right way.
Well, those are things that happen also in monogamous marriage.
They do.
But because there is love between the two, they're willing to overlook or work together to do stuff. But again,
sister wives don't fall in love with each other.
exactly. They are put together. And so those things can become huge.
So I could really, really hate you really, really easily because I didn't fall in love with you. My husband did.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm not as willing to forgive you as my husband is willing to forgive you because he loves you in a way that I will never love you or even like you. And that's unfortunately part of the sister-wife relationship. And again, that's why I feel like this show did such a huge disservice to so many, because they tried to relay this wonderful sister-wife relationship that just is practically non-existent in any sister-wife relationship that I know of. Are there sister wives who tolerate each other enough to get along? Sure. Are there sister wives who tolerate, who even might have a glimmer of affection and love towards another sister wife? Sure. Is that like the common? No, it's not. It's not very common. And I don't care what a sister wife will tell you, they're lying. Again, now we're hearing some of the real things that's happened to these women, but that's not what they presented in the show for the last 20 seasons. They presented that, oh, look at my sister wife relationship. I love her so much. I'm going to care more about her than I do myself. And now you're hearing some of the nitty gritties that go on behind the scenes that most sister wives don't want to talk about because it doesn't make them look good. It doesn't make their family look good. It doesn't make their husband look good. One of the things that Cody talks about in here too is he's like, Mary and Janelle were it got so toxic and so severe that I finally said, don't talk to me about this. I'm not a referee. I'm a horrible referee. Again, that's his job. As the priesthood leader in the family, that is his job to work with both of these women. Hey, there's conflict. And most men will do that. They'll take a step out and they'll be like, you guys handle this. Again, these women didn't fall in love with each other. They don't even like each other most of the time. They were put together out of a commonality of they both liked you. And so it is your responsibility. That's part of your priesthood duties, is to conduct your family in a manner that is pleasing unto the Lord.
Yeah. So Suki asked Mary too, when they were doing this, if she could have said no to Janelle coming in. There was a lot of issues that Mary was having. She kind of explained which each one of those were. And she asked, could you have said no? The answer to that, yes, Mary could have said no, but based on
the shame and the guilt
religion,
would have followed.
Exactly. Based on our religion, and so that was so interesting for me to hear that Janelle asked to be in the family. Cody and Janelle, or I mean Mary, dated. There was a common interest in there. When a woman asks to be in the family, that's considered kind of a high honor, that you guys are doing something right to do it. And if she got this, what she's saying later, got this testimony that she belonged in the family, she said some reasons why, but for Mary to say no, especially as a first wife, she would have been looked down on. She would have been shamed, not only by the husband, but
by the
parents, the parents, that why would you
deny
this woman
an opportunity,
righteous husband, and all of that stuff. And so there's a level, yes, she could have said no, but based off their religious belief system,
again, coercive control,
she would, it was the wrong thing for her to say and do. That's how she was raised up, to not say no, to encourage women to come into their family to build up their kingdom. And if this woman asked to come in, that was a great honor for both of them. It wasn't until they got in that there was other things that were going on.
Well, then she found out more, like she didn't know. Again, there's not time to date these women. So then she finds out more, like, oh, you wanted your boys to have the same body shape as my husband. Great. Oh, you had this, the first time you met him, you had this spark while you were still married to my brother. Oh, you know what I mean? Then she found that out after they got married. Mary finds out all this extra information.
Yeah, after they got married. But
Right.
the brother and her could have been divorced when she saw Cody. I don't
think they specified that. I don't think so, because the brother and the brother and Mary were.
And so she's got this internal.
Janelle and Adam were at Mary and Cody's wedding together. So no, it was before. And
So
I wonder if that led to Janelle's divorce.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That could be the internal that Mary's going, wait a minute.
Did you leave my brother because you wanted my husband?
There you go.
Right.
And so that's the internal that she's got to fight with, these questions, these things that
Right.
weren't answered. And she's going all through this as a young wife.
Right.
And this is difficult. This is a hard
Mm-hmm.
way to live. And so I do have empathy for Mary on this, because could she have said no? Yes. Would she?
But could she really have said no?
No.
No, she couldn't have.
And she could have, and then she would have probably been damned to hell, because then she stopped her husband from progressing.
Exactly.
And that is the teachings that they're wrestling with. That's what we're wrestling with as these young kids and going through it. Am I going to not only damn myself to hell, but my husband, take away the opportunity for him to get us into the kingdom
Because
of
of
heaven?
my selfishness?
Because of my selfishness. And so there's so much shame that maneuvers you to get into situations that you're exactly, how did I get here? One wrong thing after
one
another,
compromised decision after another compromised decision, and all of a sudden you're so deep in it you don't know what to do. You can't see your head from your feet. You don't know where to go.
And they worked it out. They worked it out, went through the things. But she had some legitimate questions and concerns, but you're told not to look at the red flags. Get in there. You had a feeling, get in there and just start working it out. And there's no exit plan. And if you can't figure it out in this life, just try to do the best you can. It'll all become
God will bless you in the next.
goose fraba in the next life. So,
right. So if you don't know the goose fraba reference, it's from the show Anger Management. Whenever you get so angry, you don't know what to do. You just goose fraba, goose fraba. So Cory said,
that. That's awesome.
I know. I haven't watched that movie. You say it all the time. And so then we always play the little clip, because most people don't know what it's referencing. But one thing Cody did say was that he felt bad in the beginning that Janelle didn't feel safe, and that Mary was a scrapper. She didn't care who was listening, didn't care. And again, this is the decorum type thing we've been talking about. It's like, put on your good face. We go to church. We all get along. And Mary embarrassed him, because Mary would get upset. She'd argue or fight, or she'd give her opinion in front of anyone, and it didn't matter who it was.
And that's not good
decorum
within the community.
Exactly. And so that was embarrassing too. And so what did Cody do? He probably catered to Mary quite a bit to shut Mary up, so that she didn't go scrapping with everybody in front of everyone else, because that looks bad on our family.
Well, and it's embarrassment, because they need a third wife to get into heaven.
Right.
And we got to
How are we going to attract that third wife if you can't shut your damn mouth?
No.
So I better cater to you, so you shut up.
So we have peace, so that we can get that third wife, and maybe the fourth.
Well, it worked with Christine, because she jumped right in. One of the things that Suki asks Christine is, do you think that plural marriage gives space for emotional intimacy? And Christine is like, yeah, I don't know. You can't compartmentalize like that when you know that you always have another woman out there who's lonely for you. But what's funny is she asks Robin the question too. She's like, Christine doesn't think that, she thought Cody tried to do the best he could. And so Suki says to Robin, do you think he can do this? And Robin's like, yeah, I know he can. And I don't care, not to be rude, but I don't care if the ex-wives think that or don't, because I know he can now. Well, yeah, because you were the recipient of most of that emotional intimacy in the last 15 years that she's been a part of this family. All the other women and they've expressed this. Yes, they didn't feel like they always had to compete with each other, which I kind of think is somewhat of not a whole truth. But then Robin comes along and she never really had to experience that. She created emotional intimacy with Cody at the expense of all of these other women, multiple, for years and years and years. And for her, that didn't seem to be a problem. And now it's like, these wives don't think that anymore. Not my problem. I really don't care what they have to say. So I was a little bit surprised by her harsh reaction to that question.
I'm not at
I mean,
all.
I know you're not, but yeah, no. But I just feel like she just doesn't give a shit what she has said or done to these women for 15 years. She genuinely doesn't care. And I don't know if that's like a tactic so that she doesn't get wallowed up in shame and guilt. And what do you think?
I don't think she believes that she's done anything wrong.
Right.
I don't. I think she believes that she is, even though the wives didn't feel like she was in their best interest, she was doing it for their best interest, to help them grow, to point out whatever. And them and Cody just couldn't get along. And so she honestly, they asked her why she wasn't at this apology tour. I know why she wasn't.
not
with
about
apology.
me.
It's not about her. If she showed up on that apology tour, there would be, people would be going, well, wait a minute, what has she got to apologize for? And she does not want that illusion that she has to apologize for anything.
Mm-hmm.
She truly believes she does not have to apologize to any of
She
the
doesn't. She
women.
genuinely doesn't think she did
has
anything wrong.
lived a perfect sister wife thing. She was the perfect sister wife. She's been the perfect wife to Cody. She was showing them by example. They failed
To follow.
the lessons that she was teaching.
You got an F in this class.
So
And what's funny too is, she gets so defensive on the couch, and you can tell when somebody gets really triggered like that, you can tell it's a very unhealed emotion for them. And so whenever Suki says anything, well, Mary doesn't feel like she can trust me. Well, not me. I've given Mary no reason to not trust me. And so it's hilarious to watch her get triggered by that. And you're like, oh, there's something that woman's got to heal right there.
well, why do you think, because Janelle got caught.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Why do you think Janelle? Yeah.
You know, doesn't
She got
trust
caught
you, or-
throwing Mary under the bus.
or says that you're manipulating, or you're holding up the thing. Well, she got caught under and throwing Mary under the bus. So
Yeah.
that's why she's behaving this way.
Not
to
because of
me.
anything I
And
did.
my fourth wife position and my only wife position and my legal wife position. She's attacking that. She's not attacking me,
Right.
the most noble Robin there is.
And if
So,
you've watched, like we were watching season 4 episode, I think it was episode 4. 3 or 4, and Robin says, oh, it's nothing, I went and talked to my mom, and there's nothing that I have done. This is just my position in the family, which absolved Robin from any responsibility for her behavior at that point. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. It's not you. It's just the position that you're in. You haven't done anything wrong. I was so livid when we watched that episode.
behavior
I
is
was like,
perfect.
you just gave this woman a hall pass to abuse these women for the rest of their lives, because she's not wrong. It's just the position that she holds. So that position can do whatever the hell they want to this woman, free of charge. And these women have no room to complain. So Suki comes back and she's talking to Cody about some of these, previous memories. And he's, you can tell he's a little somber about this. Like, yeah, I really messed up in the beginning. And one of the things that he says is that it was so hard. Again, plural marriage is so hard that if he wasn't ridiculously optimistic, he would have failed at this. And again, I agree with him, but the level of trauma that I think they all would have always stayed together, because like Janelle said, there is no exit plan, but the amount of trauma that they would have induced on each other would have been far more severe than it was. And it's pretty severe. And so that's the thing that I don't think people understand, is just the level of abuse and trauma that we experience going through these situations. And we do it justifying it in the name of religion. We do it justifying it in the name of salvation. We do it justifying it in the name of it's my responsibility and duty to suffer in this life so that I will gain a higher reward in the next life. And so it's almost like a race to see who can have the highest amount of trauma. And it makes no sense whatsoever, because as a parent, I would never look at my child and say, you have to experience this high level of trauma in order for me to love you and bring you back home. Yeah. I don't think a God does that. But again, what do I know?
Well, and while, in fact, we don't even realize that it's considered trauma. It's not. It's a learning experience, or it's trials and tribulations, or it's this, or it's that. They give
it's not
it
abuse.
a different
It's
name.
never classified as abuse or trauma.
Exactly. They give it different names, prettier names, whatever it is.
Lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, scriptural names of what you're going through instead of calling it abuse,
Yeah,
trauma. So.
Right. And then Mary goes into why she did suffer so much at the beginning. And again, this makes no sense to me. Why? I've explained this in a couple of other videos. In the AUB, there's 1 day a month that you can get married. That's it. And then they do it typically, like for years, it was the third Saturday of every month. And everyone would come in from all around, southern Utah, wherever the saints of the AUB were. They would have to come to Salt Lake to get married on the third Saturday of every month. That's the day I got married. I got married June 22nd. It was the third Saturday of June. And so I don't understand why Cody and Janelle just couldn't have gotten married in February, why they had to make it a big enough issue to get married in January on Mary's birthday. That makes no sense to me. And it took Cody's mom stopping that. Again, why on earth would you want to go into a plural family or a plural situation right out of the gate causing that many issues? Because I've said this on a couple other videos too. In plural marriage, the only 2 days that a woman is fairly guaranteed are her birthday and her anniversary. And those aren't even a huge guarantee. But those are the 2 days that she can look forward to where it can be about her. And it's not about another wife. It's not about another child. It's not about what other people need. It's about her and what she needs. And all of a sudden you want to take this away and give this day to another wife? Like, why would they ever even consider that? I think that's extremely inconsiderate, to be honest.
Well, it's a red flag.
Massive
and you're
red
not
flag.
supposed to be looking at red flags again.
And
and so since she brought it up, this could be a red flag. This could cause a problem. You're being argumentative. You're being this. You're being that. And it did take Cody's mom to go, wait a minute, come on.
Mm-hmm. So I said to my mom, it sounds like they got married the next day, which they do not do that. And so my mom, I said, how do you think that went down? And she said, they probably went through the temple, did the whole temple ceremony on Mary's birthday. And then after that, on Sunday, one of the leadership went in and sealed them.
Coordination.
Probably that happened, because that's my understanding. But my also understanding is Cody's birthday is the next day. So they got sealed on Cody's birthday. And then they just choose to celebrate it on another day of the year. Like, that makes no sense to me. And I probably should not say this, but I'm going to anyways. The only thing I can think of is the courtships are so short because they want to hop in the sack together. Mm-hmm. And so, because we can't wait one more month before we have sex. And so it boils down to, that is a lot of the issue a lot of the time, is like, we're so physically attracted to each other, but we can't really hold hands or kiss because he's a married man. We can't really be affectionate. We can't hug each other a lot. We can't show physical intimacy because he's a married man.
We can't date for very long because one of them might change their mind.
Right.
And that has happened multiple times.
Right.
That has happened where somebody dated too long, saw too many red flags, and then decided no, not doing it in the last minute.
Right. So. And again, I'm not trying to throw Janelle under the bus here. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, it could have been Cody pushing the issue. Cody might have been up to his wit's end with Mary and was just like, get me another wife in here.
We don't know. That's a whole book.
That's Janelle's story to tell. I have no idea.
Mary's.
But when you look at it, what was the reasoning? What was the rationale? And then again, like Mary said, she finds out afterwards that Janelle had these feelings towards her husband, probably while she was married to her brother. And I don't know that Janelle is going to, I don't know. Let's see, how do I say this? When you are a young woman in this religion, you want to stand out. You want to stand out from your sister wives. You want to have that special connection with your husband that maybe another wife didn't have, or maybe she had one, but you had it too. So therefore you're just as valid as she is. And we explained this when we were watching back on past seasons when they introduced Robin, and Rob's like, Cody's my soulmate. You cannot have soulmates in polygamy. It puts one woman above all of the other women. So this is very important for you to feel like you're just as valid as the first wife. So when Janelle sees Cody and she has this, oh, there you are. Oh, I've known you before. It validates her connection to him. It validates her, I belong here. I belong in this family. Yes, I might have got here in a really screwed up way by divorcing Mary's brother and then getting in here, but it makes her relationship valid. And that's what every woman in this, because
God endorsed.
Exactly. God's stamped of approval. And so women will come up with these amazing stories, and I'm not trying to invalidate Janelle's experience because I felt that when I met you. Like the very first time you came in on the houseboat and I saw you and I was like, whoa, holy cow, who is this? But I was married. And so I didn't even look at you as like an opportunity, or because I was married, I had children. It was just like, whoa, I swear I know you. I've met you. You seemed familiar to me. So I'm not trying to invalidate Janelle's experience at all, but it just validates why she belongs in the family to her. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Again, you're always looking for a way to stand out differently maybe, or it's like, well, I had this experience. Well, I did too. So therefore I'm just as amazing as you are, or I'm just as valid as you are.
And yet when they asked, did they need to compete or did they need to?
No, we never needed to compete.
It's something subtle. It's something religious based. It's something, lightning bolt versus static electricity versus
static cling.
Yeah, static cling.
For 5 clinger on this man.
So.
Well, and one of the things Mary said was, I was not supposed to have any feelings about any of this. It, like Cory explained, it made me wrong. I wasn't supposed to, because I can't hinder my husband's development. I can't hinder my husband's eternal progression. So it's wrong of me to feel like, this doesn't feel right. And so again, one compromised decision after another until you find yourself in a situation, you're like, how the hell did I get here? It's because you compromised over and over and over again until you validated where you were. And now you're stuck somewhere.
Based on religious teachings and doctrine that we were raised with.
Right.
So
right.
Everything that they're feeling and doing is based off some religious doctrine that we were told and trained with from childhood on this is how you're supposed to think. This is how you're supposed to believe. This is who you're supposed to become.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Well, even though it hurts, it stings. I for some reason, sometimes this doesn't feel right. This situation isn't feeling right. Well, you got to just push that down and believe that God is guiding your guys' path.
Right.
So you miss a lot of red flags.
Right.
When you get out in the world, you're like, wait a minute, those were red flags that I should have known, that I knew that I was not going to be compatible with this person because of this, and this. And it's just like, too bad.
Yeah.
Now you're oathed into it. Now there's no exit.
One of the big red flags with my ex-husband was I got in his car and he had a cigarette burn on the door, and he's like, let me tell you the story. I picked up this prostitute. I didn't do anything with her. I just picked her up and she burned my car door. And then we got divorced because he was hiring prostitutes. Big red flag, but I ignored it because that's what you do. And so.
And he would argue that he was very Christ-like.
He just gave her a ride.
Yeah.
She needed a ride from the gas station to the whorehouse. There's my judgment. That was so judgmental of me. Sorry.
He was being a good missionary, a good priest or elder, trying to convert her to the gospel, get her some clothing, things like that.
Like she was cold. I bought her some clothes.
Don't forget a college degree.
But I chose not to see that because he was a man of God, right? So, okay, there was a little tangent. Sorry. Okay, then David starts talking about how polygamous men make these women compete for love, and he's watched it. And these men love it when these women compete over him. Now, in some polygamous communities, this is very brazen. It's very out in the open. The men do not hide it. They're very proud to say, yeah, my wives fight over me, and I love it. In other communities, that is seen more of a taboo. You don't want to openly admit how much you love it. But come on, these men love it. It's part of the ego that boosts them up, that makes them feel like, I can do this. Look at this. I got all these women that want me. And, because I've seen a lot of comments online that's like, who do these men think they are that they can get 5 or 6 women? Well, when you watch these women fight over you, it tends to boost that testosterone, boost that ego, and you're walking around like you're the king of the castle, because you are.
Yeah. You're the leader. You're the priesthood holder. And yeah, I kind of wanted to go in, but I want to show Robin's response to this.
I have that down here a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we still got a little ways to go before I get to that.
Yeah, there's a difference between it. They're using a lot of the terms of ego. So ego, charisma, that's what gets the ladies to drop their eggs and want to come into the family. So
I know.
once they're in the family, it switches from the ego and because the
To
ego,
control and domination.
yeah, the ego is the ego, and the charisma is no longer that attractive when it's happening on other wives. So that diminishes the ego. And again, ego and charisma are worldly terms. That shows something that you're vain, that's looked down on within the teachings. They use, and so this is why when Robin's asked, she can go, well, that was not taught over our.
Yeah. It was not taught in our church for the women
church.
to compete. Bull crap. It was too. It absolutely
It was something
was.
different.
I was raised
they
in the
didn't
same church. It absolutely
Again,
was.
they didn't use the word compete.
Right.
It wasn't worldly, but to perfect yourself, to
What do I need to do, like Mary said?
become a queen and the priestess.
Yeah.
And to compare yourself with the sister wives. Were you doing better than them? We call that competing out in the real world. They call it perfecting themselves, becoming more righteous, having a better story.
They do it till the end of their life. I mean, honest to God, here's my mom, 71 years old, and her sister wives, and the way that they go at each other. I mean, the one wife, very much, the legal wife is very, very, very competitive with the other wives. And she is a queen and a priestess unto her husband.
Yeah.
And you don't get to touch her otherwise.
Done nothing wrong.
Exactly. And she's done absolutely nothing wrong.
Every one of her behavior is to enlighten and to raise up the other wives by example.
Right, right.
I am showing them by example why I'm better than them.
And therefore, my husband loves me more than he loves them, because I am a good example. I do set the path of how to get in righteous heaven. And so do they feel like they're in competition with each other? No. But then Mary even says, yes, I've seen it. I've seen it in other families. Are we really taught this? No, we are not taught to go out and compete and try to make your sister wife feel like shit about herself. No, we are definitely taught, you know what? You follow the golden rules. You do all of these things, and you show them what it means to be a good sister wife. Yeah. They will fall into line because they love you and adore you so much that they want to be like you. Yeah. That's how we're taught. Those are the things. Literally, those words were taught to me as a young woman growing up in this religion. So for Robin to say, no, we were never taught that, again, I personally think that's one of those crap teachings that maybe she got from her mom, where it's like, don't worry, sweetie, it's not you, it's your position. That is the worst teaching that's the worst thing her mom ever could have said to her.
There's no competition. You can't compete against Robin.
Right.
So why would you use the word compete?
Right.
We don't compete.
I already know how to be the perfect sister wife. Let me show you. And you're just not taking the lesson. What's wrong with you? So I'm not competing with you. I don't need to. I already know.
And so, again, we're asking in layman or worldly terms, do you guys compete? Absolutely not.
There is no competition.
There is no competition. I'm just trying to perfect myself.
I'm just trying to be better
And
than I was yesterday.
Show my
And I was pretty darn
sister-
good yesterday.
Yeah, show my sister wives how to become as perfect as I am.
Exactly.
And so to them, it's not competition. They don't use the word compete. That's again arrogance. That's again all of these things. They just lace it in a different word, a different topic. So,
And I know AUB women watch us, and I know that this is going to piss them off, and that's okay. You can be as pissed off as you want to be, but it's true, and people know that it's true.
yeah, we
And
don't
they
think you
want to admit
compete.
it.
We don't think you compete. We don't, those silly words. Yeah, we know what you are. You're righteous. So
Right. And so,
sorry, facetious, mean.
but the way that David puts it sounds so crass. It sounds so, it's like, well, we don't do that. We're above that behavior.
Righteous.
It sounds very like unrighteous dominion over his wives, unrighteous. And so there's ways to skirt around the issue and just relabel things so that we speak in tongues in this religion anyway. So let's just not speak clearly and say what it is. That's what it is. And so Christine says right here, I didn't feel controlled by Cody. I felt like but then 10 minutes later in the interview, she's like, well, yeah, he's trying to control me with this apology. And again, two things can be true at the same time. They can have moments in the marriage where they felt like what they had was freedom. They felt like only because they had never set boundaries before with this man that had been tested like that. The minute that you set those boundaries and say, you will not talk to me like this, you will not, I don't care what you have going on, you don't need to tell me about it. And then he crosses those boundaries, then you're going to start realizing just how controlled you were. But when you never push against that and you always just try to stay in line and keep sweet, you don't realize just how controlled you're being because you're always keeping sweet, which is which you were being so controlled and you just don't see it. And so I don't know. Another thing that she says is, this is a continued theme throughout the whole episode, is the suffering was going to make you a better person. Again, endure to the end. I don't know how many times I've heard endure to the end. And, it's like your suffering will be rewarded one day. Your suffering, God does not turn away from the suffering of his children. He will reward you for that because you stayed true. You stayed faithful to your covenants. You stayed faithful to this man that you promised to be with for all of eternity.
You stayed sweet through your tribulations, and you will be rewarded in heaven. So,
Yep. So then
sweet.
she asks about, why do these women comply? Why do they do this? And David says a lot of it's indoctrination. And the women are like, no, I didn't feel indoctrinated. Here's my 2 cents on it. Again, I could be way off in left field. But the indoctrinated women in this religion are the Robins. They're the ones who they follow
Living it to the
they're
fullest.
indoctrinated about what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, and that's what they do. There are other women, and I believe that the original 3 wives, they're in it because they believe in the reward of it. They truly do believe that this will make them a better person. They want to be better people. And so because they want to be better people, they do the things necessary so that everyone can be happy in the family. Now, do they have moments where they falter in that? Sure. I'm sure Mary was bossy as hell at times. I'm sure Christine was, had her flaws, and Janelle had her flaws, but they made it work because they saw what they were working towards, the beautiful part of what they were promised. Now, this is why I feel like the indoctrinated women are the Robins. They come in, and unfortunately, there are more indoctrinated ones that are doing it because of indoctrination, not because they truly believe it. My mom was converted in, Janelle was converted in, and they saw what a beautiful blessing they believed this religion could give them. And that's why they did it. They did it with their whole heart to do everything that they could for the betterment of this kingdom of a family that they were building. And then you get the Robins that come in there that are the know-it-alls. They know everything. They know exactly what to do to make it perfect because they're so indoctrinated with the religion that they forget that there's a love and a passion for what you're doing, not just, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when people say, why would somebody live this way?
We were all indoctrinated, including the original. There has to be an indoctrination for you to overlook some of the things that goes on.
Right.
To look for a better life in the next life, things like that.
Right.
But there are those that have, they are completely indoctrinated. They will never, at least these other wives would look inward at themselves. Robin, I don't believe, has that cop.
If you were enlightened enough, you would look inward instead of.
Yeah. I don't think she has that. She doesn't feel like she needs to look inward. If you were, she is now, her concentration was on the other wives, what they were supposed to look like when they weren't following suit. She was going to teach them by example and sometimes by shaming them and doing stuff like that. So there's indoctrination, and then there's really, and she was really well indoctrinated by her mother, who I know. That's who I know is her. And she is a pro. She has perfected what her mom's role has been in my life, what I saw.
Your experience of her.
My experience of her.
Right.
So she's identical to what her mom has taught her well.
Right. And unfortunately, those are the women who tear apart families. They are the women who come in and they because they know everything, they're unteachable because they already know everything. They don't need to be taught. They don't need to learn. These women have nothing. These other women have nothing to teach them because they have already learned the doctrine so well. And that's one of the things I get so frustrated watching Robin, because she's like, no, that's not how it is. No, instead of being curious, if that's how it was, I didn't experience that. I don't know. She knows everything. And so it's really hard to listen to her. What's funny too, is then they start talking about ego. And how many times has Cody said, this is all about the ego, baby. It's all about ego. So they're sitting here talking about this, and she asks the wives, do you think that Cody has an ego? And what's funny, did I already pass it? I did. Darn it. I went too far. I was going to show that clip. Let me get back to that.
Yeah. Can I say something really
Absolutely,
quickly? Yeah. Cody says in here that David has never lived polygamy, so he knows shit about shit and stuff. And Cody probably has the same opinion about me,
right?
About you, about we.
Not that he watches us, because I don't know that.
But
I
never lived polygamy. But a good majority of the polygamists would have that same argument about Robin, because the original three lived polygamy with the rules under the same. They lived in the same house together. They worked differences out. They raised the kids together. They did that. I have yet to see Robin, since she's dated Cody. She's lived as a monogamous polygamist. She's got her name. She's got her stuff, but she's not reaching out to the wives to help her out.
Coexist with them.
Cody is raising her up as this perfect sister wife, but she has never been in the dirt, because she's never been in the dirt arguing with the other wives and everything. Because if somebody has an issue with her and says something, she runs to Cody. Cody corrects them, where he wasn't doing that before. All of a sudden, he tapped into his dominion and to protect Robin.
Right.
But him and her have lived as monogamous, and he's enjoyed that monogamous life. Polygamy is super, super hard. And so he chose to live monogamy with Robin over here, claiming he had 3 other wives, and eventually those wives left. And so he's right. Nobody's lived polygamy like Cody. Again, if Robin hadn't come in and they didn't have the show, they would still probably be a upstanding family within the AUB, because people looked at them as living polygamy properly.
Right.
even though now you see there's been some hardship. But
Right.
again, they have nothing on the hardship within polygamous families. So every one of these wives have gone through that. Robin's just not the one that has ever had to go through it.
Right.
So
Right.
I would argue the same as he's arguing that David doesn't know shit. Neither does Robin. And she claims she does. She's the queen. She's a priestess. You listen to her on all advice. So, and that's great for a monogamist. You guys are going to make great monogamists. But again, I've never lived polygamy. I only grew up in it. So I could know
You only
shit.
play one on TV.
Yeah. So,
Well, one of the things too I wanted to say before we show this clip is that Cody says, I never promoted competing between my wives. I yelled at the TV. Bullshit. That is every single, and I don't like to blanket statement, but every single polygamous man that I know has at one time or another enjoyed the competition between his wives for his favor. Every single one. I don't know one single polygamous man that has not in some level enjoyed watching his wives compete over him. It makes him feel like a big man. It makes him feel important. It makes him
priesthood
feel
leader.
Yep.
He's doing his job right.
Yep.
He's got these women that adore him and things. And that's the thing. He probably honestly believes that statement, even though under his breath he's saying, hey, talk to Christine. She knows how to cook my eggs. That's a comparison.
Exactly.
That's her doing it. Or Mary is really good at housekeeping and house
Robin's
cleaning.
gonna have to learn these things quickly.
Going to have to learn. There is a comparison. And he did that at the beginning, probably got, wait a minute, you can't be doing this. But now he's comparing them all to Robin. Well, Christine was this, or he has. And he's just done it. It's just part of the doctrine that we grew up with, that you do this as a leader, as a thing, and they use these things.
And yes, Cody
that
was not
stings.
raised in the AUB, but he was still raised in the Mormon church, which still has a level of patriarchy like that.
He still studied it.
He did. He
He
studied.
came in. He didn't just join it. He had to study it and agree to some of the terms
Well,
and things
even
like
if he
that.
didn't study it, name one man that you know of that doesn't like some level of competition. I mean, when that girl at work was coming after you, you really enjoyed me competing for your attention over hers.
Absolutely not. I appreciate your kindness and love towards me. There's no competition. So,
Oh yeah, Cory had a woman go after him at work for a while, and he was going to divorce me for her, and we just had to laugh over it. We just thought it was funny. Well, I thought it was hilarious. He didn't think it was so funny. I thought it was funny, but I really truly don't know one single man in the world who wouldn't want women, pandering for his attention. Like, do you? I know that I would be like, oh, look at these two guys going after my attention. But would you some men take it to an extreme where they relish in it and then they need that constant feeding of their ego, where other men are like, okay, that was fun, but I'm uncomfortable now, go away. Like, I don't want this anymore. So I'm saying that, but at one time or another, they have somewhat enjoyed it or somewhat been like,
you're saying enjoyed. Again,
okay, I don't want to say enjoyed, but they have been what's the word I'm thinking
he's
of?
relished in his righteousness that he has 3 women that adore him and are fighting or
No.
standing up for him. He's going to do it in some righteous
There will be a righteous label on it, but he still goes,
Yeah.
I kind of like this attention. And then after maybe a minute or two, or
I am such a good priesthood holder. I have 3 women that are arguing about me or competing for my attention or raising me up to people within the community to show, and which is going to make me attractive so that
I'm going to get more wives.
some other lady's eggs are going to drop.
Right.
And she'll come in and as a 4th wife. It's going to be amazing. So yes, it's something where we're using these worldly terms, and that's where Robin has the argument of that's not what we were taught in our church. So that's
Bullshit.
why this one is.
That's exactly what we were taught.
But we're going to hear her argument, and I'll say what.
Say your sense after 2 piece after
Yeah.
that.
Do you agree with David's take on this?
David's sister was in a different group,
Says right.
and so that might have been the experience that he had, but that's not what I ever heard about and saw in my church.
Mm-hmm. Do you think most polygamists have to have a big ego?
I think that it would be better if you didn't. I think that having a big ego is what causes the problems.
Does Cody have the big ego?
Cody definitely has a big ego. He always has.
She didn't even
But
hesitate with
I
that
enjoy
answer.
him. He's fun, right? He's fun to hang out with. He's charismatic. He's a little bit too cocky. I don't like cocky. And that kind of goes along with ego. So there's times that he does have that.
Do you think Cody has a big ego?
So ego is a worldly term.
Mm-hmm.
It's also comes with pride. Pride is something that within the teachings you're not supposed to be proudful and boast.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all worldly terms. Those are all, and you're supposed to be the big words or the big names that they use within that's over the pulpit that Robin's talking about is a dominion. You're either have unrighteous dominion or righteous dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Dominion, to be able to rule over a family, things like that. And
Righteously.
yeah, and dominion comes with something in the belief system that you are a noble, righteous, humble leader. Benevolent. All of the words that she is using to build Cody up. Cody's on his benevolent tour to he has failed because he shouldn't have lost his calm with these women. He should have been a better man there. So he's in there apologizing. She doesn't need to apologize. But so she's saying, no, ego and charisma, those are all prideful terms.
Right.
And we were not taught that in our church. It's dominion, righteous or unrighteous dominion. And yet they have a covenant. Each one of these, including the men, have covenanted to honor, to obey and honor their priesthood leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so the men even have to obey. And when a man goes back on not following the priesthood leaders, he's usually excommunicated or asked to leave. His wives are taken and recycled into the community. So
the priesthood pool.
yeah. And so does Cody have an ego? Robin's going to argue that he doesn't have an ego. He's a righteous dominion person over. This is what we were taught, and this is what I'm trying to build him up to where these guys are going, because the ego is the part that the ego and the charisma is the flashy part that makes the women's eggs drop, that they come into the family, but then once they're in the family, once they've made a covenant to him to be obedient and to honor him, then he is going to perform righteous dominion over them.
Mm-hmm. But not control them.
Not with ego, not with charisma, but with righteous dominion over his wives, over his children. And so this is where she gets around with, well, these people don't even know. No, he's not any of that. And the other wives are like, no, he is that.
They didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
All the other 3 wives were like, yeah, absolutely, he's that way. Yeah, absolutely. And Janelle did say that, you know, I appreciated what Janelle said. She's like, yeah, Cody definitely has an ego, but it's good to have a healthy ego.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I have seen some men in polygamy. They're not very often, but they have they're not confident at all. And you've got one wife that just rules that entire family because this man's lack of spine, lack of anything, it's so bad. And so you typically tend to, yeah, no, well, Cody, I mean, we've seen Cody
He wouldn't do
fluctuate
that,
like
exactly.
that, but Cody's in a whole different class of his own in that regard. I've seen men come in there and just be browbeaten to the point where they have no self-esteem. And again, self-esteem is different than ego. But what I love is about it is she's like, do you think Cody's has a big ego? And Janelle's like, it's not my problem anymore. I don't even really care if he does or not. But he clearly does. I mean, you can see it all over him, and you can see it all over Robin. Robin has it too. One of the things that Mary says is that she never really felt like she had to compete with the other women. Again, it went back to, what do I need to change about myself so that I can receive love? Right back to the fact that this was it's a very transactional society. It's very transactional religion. What do I need to do in order for you to give me what I need? Not just because you're my husband, but because I earned something from you. Therefore, you're going to reward me somehow. And every single polygamous wife has been this way or felt this way. Even Robin has. I'm sure Robin has. What do I need to do to be for Cody to be my best customer, or me to be his best customer, so that he continues to shop at my little store, my
sister wife's closet.
Right. And so it's like, it's a very transactional way of life. And it makes sense that it is, because everyone's always vying for something. Like, what do I need to do? How do I need to stand out? I need to have a burning in the bosom. God testified to me that I belonged to you. They're always trying to make themselves stand out differently than the other women. Again, not always the same family situation in every family, but across the board, this is a generalization.
There's how do I explain this? So part of the teachings within the AUB is that you're supposed to multiply and replenish the earth. You as a wife are going to produce heirs for your husband to build up the kingdom of God. And so it's not necessarily that and so when Mary's going, something's wrong with me, I can only produce one child for Cody. And it's not necessarily the other women were shaming her for that. That's something that's kind of built into our psyche of your only goal here is to build up the kingdom of God, to produce heirs and children and teach them about the kingdom of God. This is the easiest and best way to do it. And so she's kind of beating herself up on it. And again, Robin, when she does I even offered to be a surrogate to her, that is, in a way, an underhanded way of saying you are unable. And Robin doesn't see it that way. But it's an underhanded way to say you are unable to produce heirs for our kingdom, and where none of the other wives would have said anything. They just doing what they want. And so that's why it feels so, to me, again, this is just me, other people might felt, but it felt as a little bit of an undercut. The same way Cody will undercut
David
or Mary or, hey, Janelle, they were difficult. Who was difficult? Not Janelle. He didn't say Mary, but not Janelle.
Right.
There's an undercut way that they get around doing this. It made her noble. It made her that she was wanting to help, making her look like the better sister wife. But it's almost like an unspoken word that you can't produce heirs for the kingdom of God, so I'll help you, because that's the kind of sister wife I am. And so Mary's already struggling with the belief systems that we were raised with, and probably only putting that on herself from of guilt and shame. She's been very good about that, but Robin doesn't even see that there's so many ways that Mary should never trust anything that comes out of her mouth.
Right.
Because she's so indoctrinated into her belief system of this is what a good sister wife does.
Right.
So,
Well, and on that note, here, let's get to this next clip, because this clip, I was dying when I saw this clip. I was like, excuse me, does she have a mouse in her pocket? Who is she talking about? Like, oh, and of course it froze. Come on.
The other thing, and I don't know if I missed it last episode or the episode before, but they played it in this one where Cody forgave Mary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, we're getting to that.
Okay. Because I was like, did he really just say that? I had to rewind it a couple times, like, oh my goodness. So again, the benevolent priesthood holder is not only apologizing or asking,
but bestowing an apology upon her.
But also then turning around. He's not only bestowing an apology on her, he's bestowing a release that the priesthood hasn't given Christine because she hasn't asked for it. He's bestowing it upon her. This is teachings. This is belief systems that both him and Robin are discussing in the background, that he needs to go on and do this stuff. Right. So everybody's like, what the hell? But it's all based on their belief system of what he has to do to release those wives back to.
Sorry, you get a little Robin O face.
And like there was special circumstances, like each of us would go and tell Mary when we were pregnant before we would tell anyone else, to help her be able to have the time to process that in time, you know, just to let her feel supported in that and say, you know, I know this is hard for you and I am pregnant and I love you. And that's why I offered to do surrogacy for her, because I was trying to support that part of her pain and her story.
I could go back.
So see, I was like, excuse me, does she have a mouse in her pocket? Name one other sister wife that was pregnant when Robin was ever pregnant. Yeah. And when did they do this? So she's like, this is why we all went and told Mary ahead of time, so Mary had time to process it. Again, this is Robin's way of showing what a righteous, good sister wife Robin is, because look what she did for Mary. She, you know, although she blanket state, or she put it in the context of all of us, we all cared about Mary. But if you really stop and look at it, I'm the only one who did that, because I'm the only one who had babies after this. And this Christine had her last baby, or was pregnant with her last baby, and had her before Robin even came around.
And this is why Mary shouldn't,
before she was married,
has no reason to not trust me.
Look what I did for her.
This is why Mary has every reason not to trust you.
I know. She says that. This is why we all did this. And I'm like, where the hell? Like this is just another way. These are the girl games she's talking about. Look how she just patted herself on the back for what she did for Mary and made it look like all the sister wives had. But then if you really, take a deeper look at it, it's like, woman, you love to give yourself. You never want to take any responsibility or accountability for when you do something wrong, but you'll take accolades wherever you can get them. I was just dying when she said that. And no, she did not offer that surrogacy as a way, to help. No, she did it as a way to elevate herself above the other wives so that Cody found her more favor. And that was the word that I was looking for earlier. Yeah. Every single polygamous man finds it flattering. He's flattered that these women are competing over him. Now, do they all feel like they have to compete? No. But they elevate them, so they try to elevate what will make me stand out. What's going to make my husband notice me?
To get more favor from him. Those are the words that they're using within the community teachings. And we're using all these, she's asking questions in worldly terms. And so this is why Robin with a straight face can go, no, that's not what we were taught over the thing. They use different words.
Right.
Same outcome. You guys are just using more layman terms to her spiritual teachings. So.
And again, Robin elevates herself right here above the other wives because she's like, no, we all did this for Mary. Look how kind we were. Look how thoughtful we were. We were just looking out after Mary's best interests. Really, it was just me. I'm the only one who really did that. But, we all did that. And again, that's a girl game. That's a tactic to make herself look better than the other wives. And because Cody later probably went, oh, yeah, that's so kind. Robin did do that. That's so kind. You know, maybe
to
the
get
other
more
wives didn't do that, but Robin did.
favor
Yeah,
from Cody.
exactly.
Not necessarily Mary. And did you know that Mary had some issue? Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, we all knew.
And so this is how I went about doing it, even though it was look, I'm doing my wifely duties and providing offspring for our husband, for our eternal kingdom. And yeah, and there's judgment there. Even if Mary's just judging herself, why can't I have more kids or anything? Instead of just being, yeah, no, I'm good. So, but where is she getting that? There's some energy that is coming from Cody. It might be something like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I got another son. I got this. Whatever that energy is, that just is a little bit of a gut punch to Mary every time that is.
Right.
So, and it's hard just being in a monogamous family and you're both wanting something. And now all of a sudden she's wanting to provide that and he's out just getting it from the other ladies.
Right.
So
right.
Look at, and they can provide.
I know. If you can't tell, we deep dove into a lot of stuff today. So we have a lot of stuff to say about this because we really did dive back so much into our own trauma experiences with my mom. And we really started to analyze a lot of this stuff. This one right here is the one that got Cory so much. It was so funny to watch this. Okay, here we go. I love Christine's face.
I get that. Back in Vegas, all that time, that was very dark for me.
I apologize that your dark time, I wasn't there.
The dark time was because you weren't there.
You don't need this from me, but I tell you I forgive you for that. I want you to feel like this is
Robin's
about
face. Is she
you, but it's really
constipated,
about me.
or is she
I
like?
can tell it's about you.
Is this man gonna go off?
I don't want it to burden you.
Oh, it's not.
No, I
It's not. Don't
I
worry.
sincerely just don't want any of it troubling you.
I can't tell what Robin's face is doing and all that. She's like, what? But the way that Cody says that, and I want you to hear, you don't need to hear this from me, but I want you to know that
I forgive you.
Cory's like, he did not just say that. That was not in the original episode. We got to go back and watch that again. We watched it like 3 times. He's like, oh, how wonderful of this man to forgive her for that.
Take that forgiveness and shove it up your behind there, bug guy.
Yeah. But I love watching Robin's face because she's like, okay, we rehearsed this, Cody. Don't mess it up. Are you going to go off script? Don't go off script. He's going to go off script. I know he's going to, like, you cannot tell. Constipation, worry. Is she genuinely feeling sorry for this man? What is she thinking during all this? I'm so curious. But then Suki's like, how did you feel about watching that? And Mary's like, damn, girl, I'm proud of herself. And she should be. She absolutely should be.
And Christine was like, good for her. So.
And when she said that, I won't be walked on by this man anymore. And he doesn't know what to do with that. I've literally heard those exact words come from my own mother because of how she has been my dad's easiest wife. She's been my dad's most compliant wife. And now she's not, and she's leaving him, and he doesn't know what to do with it. These men are genuinely confused because after all, these women have fallen in line for the last 25, 30 years. What's wrong with them? Why are they broken now?
They have honored and obeyed, as their covenant states, their priesthood leader, and now none of them are doing that.
Right.
And he is stunned. He really is. They've been doing this compliance, honored and obeyed for so many years. Are they really going to continue to break this covenant and be damned into hell?
Like, he just cannot comprehend it.
That's hell. That's eternal darkness. That's even, obliteration of their
because it says
soul.
In the scriptures that a woman will, it was the word obliterate, right? No, it was
destroyed.
It literally says in the scriptures that if she does not do these things, she will be destroyed.
There you go.
She's not even a son of perdition. She's not even cast into outer darkness. She will literally be destroyed and cease to exist. So these men cannot comprehend
that they would choose
that over following his direction.
There you go.
What are they thinking? So, and I love it because Suki says to Christine, Christine's like, yeah, that conversation was that was just for Cody. That wasn't for anyone else. And I love that these women can see this, well, except for Janelle. Janelle really fully believes that Cody was serious and that this wasn't just for him. But
Oh, yeah.
Christine and Mary are like, no, this is a conversation for him. And Christine's boundary is, you don't get to come and tell me this, because guess what? I'm not your wife and I don't care anymore. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. You don't get to come and tell me any of this anymore. And he goes, yes, I do. Watch me. And so that's where Christine is so struggling with this whole situation. I love it too. Go ahead.
Well, he's coming there to release her and to release his domination over her. That's when David says, well, he felt like you're a property. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not. It's he is the righteous, has righteous dominion over her, and he's releasing her from that so that she can then reap the whirlwind or damnation or whatever it is.
Or being destroyed.
Being
all on her own.
destroyed all on her own. He's doing that. And how else is he and this is where Robin and Cody are both confused. You don't get to come in here and do that. Well, when else was he supposed to do that? He needed to release her. So,
I know.
And David's sitting there. This is where Cody's like, well, he doesn't know what he doesn't know. David's sitting there like, you're treating her like she's a piece of property.
And it's pissing David off.
And Cody's like, you don't know what you don't know. So.
Right. Well, and then Suki starts talking to him. Well, what do you, I love it when she says, Christine, would you talk to Cody like that? And Christine's like, no, I don't take him seriously enough. I don't even care what he has to say. I don't take him seriously enough to even give him that kind of energy. And then, she's like, and then he would just patronize me anyway. So why? I love how aware Christine is right now. I really do. I feel like she's gotten so much more aware of that. And then Mary says he doesn't get to have an opinion about my friends and tell me about it. I don't care. I'm not his wife. He can go tell Robin his opinion about my friends. He doesn't get to tell me his opinion about my friends.
I feel like both of them have completely changed their belief system. Right. And so since they no longer believe that anything Cody or Robin have to say is based around something that they don't even believe anymore. So just tell a wall or each other.
I think that Janelle has made fun of Cody for so long that she just doesn't see things the same way that the other two women see them. And so when Suki says, well, do you think he gets an opinion about Mary's friends? And she's like, well, I guess they have an opinion about him. So yeah, I guess he can have an opinion about them. But what Janelle fails to miss is that Cody's crossing boundaries with Mary and Christine that they've told him he doesn't get to cross, and he doesn't care. He's going to keep violating them. Where Janelle just puts Cody on ignore and disconnects from him. So she doesn't see that that's an issue the way that it actually truly is an issue for these women.
Well, it's all fun and games. Hey, if they want to talk bad, I'll talk bad about him.
I'll just go make a t-shirt about it and make money off of the fool.
So
yeah, so it's not that I don't think it's that Janelle's stupid. It's just she's like, if he's going to talk shit like that, I'll just go print up a shirt and make money off of him and screw him.
She's not. She's looking at it completely different. If he wants to say something poor about them,
right,
which he feels like, and it is, they don't. They're no longer part of the phone tree. So
we don't care.
Notified Janelle that there was a boundary that Cody keeps doing it. Why would you even sit down with him if you knew what he was going to say? You knew what he was going to say. Why would you even sit down with him? Well, the show made me do it, but now we're going to tell him he doesn't get to do it anymore. Good.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. This is our last clip.
Him, he might have a right to say something.
Yeah.
Cody's not married to Mary anymore. If he was married to Mary and treated her with respect, then he gets to have an opinion about her friends, maybe. But he's not married to her. He didn't treat her with respect. He didn't treat her with kindness, love, nothing. So he doesn't have a right to voice his opinion about Mary's friends to her. He can tell Robin about his feelings about Mary's friends because he has respect for her. But no, he can't. He can't.
He can't lay claim on that part of her life.
No, he can't lay claim on any part of Mary's life.
Perfect.
No.
Yep.
That is exactly what he doesn't get to lay claim on any part of Mary's life. And he doesn't get to, I love how she says that. He doesn't get to voice that to her. It's not and he doesn't understand this part of it. This is so hard for him to comprehend, and this is so hard for Robin to comprehend. They literally don't understand this because they have zero respect. You know what, Robin? If you were a little bit more enlightened, you might understand boundaries, sweetheart. You might want to go take a class on that. Just saying. You want to point out where you want to point out where Christine and David aren't as enlightened, where they could learn to heal. This might be a good spot for you to learn how to heal, sweetheart. You might want to check into boundaries. So there we go. There's my little snark at her. All right. So then what were you saying?
I just looked at our time.
I know we've been going for a long time.
Good.
We were like, we're just going to make this one under an hour, but we had a lot of deep dive. Like
next week's is going to be the best, though.
I know next week is going to be a great one.
It's going to be some truth coming out about what Cody felt about the catfishing. That's going to be a great one.
Well, so then Cody goes off about how awkward of a conversation it was with Mary because she just still wants to talk about the hurts. He says this in a way that makes him elevated over. He's more enlightened than Mary. He doesn't want to talk about hurts anymore. He wants to apologize to her so that she just forgets all the hurts. And he's moved past that. Mary needs to move past that too.
That luggage is downstream.
It floated down that stream a long time ago. Mary keeps trying to unpack that river. But what's funny about it is that he doesn't see how he's trying to elevate his level of healing is now more superior than Mary's level of healing because she just wants to talk about hers instead of going, I don't want to talk to you at all, Cody. That's the problem is he wants to judge Mary for wanting to talk about the hurts, and Mary's turning around judging him for wanting to talk to her at all. Like you're still not healed enough that you can't go just work this out on your own. You got to come and tell me face to face. No, that's what you're bad, dude. You need to go back into therapy and learn how to heal yourself, worry about yourself before you come and start worrying about me. And that's what he doesn't get. And so here he is like talking in a way that's almost downplaying Mary. And yet the whole world's watching him like, dude, you don't have to go talk to these women. There's a notepad, write down your feelings, tear it up, burn it in a trash can, throw it away, let a fish eat it, do whatever the hell you want to do with it, but don't tell me about it because I don't care. And he doesn't get that part. So here he is like a fool trying to make himself look like, oh, I know I've healed enough that I'm going to lower myself and apologize to these women.
Well,
when they don't really give a shit and they don't want it. They don't want to hear from you.
And if he was true, I think they would probably listen if it was a true, authentic apology, not an underhanded one.
Right.
And so when I'm apologizing to you, but I'm underhanded to somebody else, you're like, can I really trust that this apology is?
Exactly.
Wait a minute. You just apologized to me for saying this negative thing behind your back as I say a negative thing about behind the back of this other wife.
Right.
So
well, and I
don't trust it.
I feel like this whole episode, this whole tell-all, the whole series, all three parts, has had an undertone of Robin and Cody's superiority, where the other women are just like, let's just talk about it. Let's be real about it. But Robin and Cody are superior to everyone. And what
they would argue with you, they're more righteous.
They're more
Enlightened
enlightened.
and righteous.
Yeah, because he's on a walk with God right now.
That's right.
And so they're more enlightened, and so that's been the undertone. And in fact, we skipped something that I wanted to go back on, is when Cody starts going off about David works with construction workers. The level of superiority this man comes off with. I know a lot of construction polygamous men, and they're pigs. 90% of all polygamous men are blue collar workers. They are construction workers. That's what they do. That's how they provide for their family. And this piece of trash wants to get on.
Sign salesman.
Or sign salesman. I mean, yeah, they suck too. They're pigs. I mean, isn't that first? Cody couldn't even support his family selling signs. These men get out there and bust their butts with with working with their hands. And this fool wants to get up there and judge them for that. So I feel like this entire 3 episodes has been, look how enlightened and look how superior we are. I was so disgusted when he said that, because literally 90% of all polygamous men support their families off of blue collar work. And this man can't even run a freaking chainsaw. We've all seen it a dozen times.
Well, and this is, again, and I'm sure this is why I'm excited to talk to other people from polygamous groups, but within the AUB, we're the more enlightened polygamous group. We are not pigs. We treat our wives as queen and priestesses. And so David's hearing from this other group that are construction workers and more.
That's true. The Mexico group,
yeah,
it's way lower than the AU.
We're so much better than them. And I'm sure every one of those groups are doing the exact same thing. We're the best group. We have the thing. We treat our people better than the AUB.
Well, what I find funny about it is some of Cody's very best friends own excavating companies, own window companies, own electrical contracting companies. These are some of his very best friends, people he's had on the show. They're all blue collared workers, and he has the balls to get on here and say that that construction polygamous workers are pigs. Like, who the hell does this guy think he is? And so I'm just so tired of watching this level of enlightenment that these people think that they have, and they're just ignorant as can be. And then we end the episode with this. I love it because we end the episode with everyone kind of giving their 2 cents about Jen. And then Mary goes, yeah, somehow, where is this fabricated story about Jen coming into play? Again, I think this whole thing, again, they fabricated the story about a backdoor deal. They fabricate the story about Jen. So all the focus goes on to this situation instead of what we did, how we forced these women into paying attorney fees by the thousands in order to make us be honorable, in order to force Cody and Robin to be honorable and keep their word and do what was morally right. They don't want to focus on that during these tell-alls. They want to focus on the backdoor deal with Mary or with Janelle, and also this fabricated story about Jen.
Well, and I hope that Suki in the next one does ask what was in that contract that Robin held up.
Right.
with.
Just ask a decent question, Suki. These questions are getting annoying.
These are the questions that these guys are probably fabricated and brought in and made a big deal. They've made a big deal on things. This is new information, so that she held this up, that she wanted a non-disclosure. Great. Are we going to ask that in this, or will that all be next season? I don't know, but that would be the more interesting to me of what the righteous people, the enlightened people were bringing to the table, because they don't want to talk about that. They're going to talk about, and good, Christine, great for you for just walking away from this.
Yeah.
So, because really now you get to
want to talk about enlightened people? Give Christine credit for walking away from this shit show.
She didn't have to be a part of this, because he would have tried to drag her down and under, and Robin would try to drag her down and under through this whole process, and she gets to back away and live her life away from this shit show.
Right. So let us know what you guys think. We went in deep on this one. We had a lot to say about this. Just mostly, again, when you watch somebody go through such severe levels of trauma that's similar to something you've experienced, it can trigger other things. We went through a deep dive today, like I said, with my mom, and it was a whole thing. It was a whole process. We had so much to do today, and we did Sister Wives all day. So that's why we're filming so late at night. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. And next week is going to be a doozy. We will be late with next week's episode because we won't be available to film. So we will be a day late on that, at least a day, I think. And then we'll try to get our recap and reaction out. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments. And if we missed anything that you wish we would have talked about on this episode, and we'll try to get that. We're going to be doing our Q&A here pretty quick too. And then don't forget, our book club starts February 10th. We're going to tag the book here yes, we do get a small commission off of it when you tag us. It's the commission we'll be donating into Holding Out Help. But it is The Sound of Gravel by by Ruth Warrener. I didn't mean to say Anne. And so that will be tagged in our show notes as well. Also, Holding Out Help, we tag them in our show notes every single time. So if you feel like you want to donate to them, if you want to follow us on any of our other social media, we try to update Instagram a little bit more every day. Today what we did, today would have been my mom's 53rd wedding anniversary. We went out and celebrated that she didn't have one. Day. And then we celebrated a little bit about Cory's birthday. This old guy is about to be 55. So let us, if you want to follow us on Instagram, all of our handles are the same, Notes to Self 444. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there. So till
Thanks,
next
guys.
time, thanks.